Sorry, what's going on, y'all? It's GZTV. Again, this is one of two videos. We do 2 videos a day, especially in the summer. Maybe in the school year, I might kind of back off a little bit. Probably won't watch as many movies, but we have The Walking Dead. We have the 13th episode of season 11, Warlords. We are more than halfway through this show, or through the last season of this show, I should say. And yeah, man, I mean, it's been pretty good. So I really like season 11, by the way. And the series continues its final season experiments with style for an episode that pits reason against radicalism in more ways than one. I mean, it twists time and space. They do some really interesting things with this episode. So, recruiting strangers to join a community, this is what Aaron does. It's literally how we first met him. Remember when the formerly mellow and easygoing guy showed up and pitched Rick Grimes on the idea of Alexandria? I mean, it's kind of crazy to realize and think about where his character came from. He used to be such an innocent guy, and now he's just this badass with a mace for an arm. That was his job, finding wayward souls who seem reasonably non-crazy and offering them safe haven behind the walls of a genteel post-apocalyptic community. And people were talking about how Michael Biehn was a guest star, and that was great as well. Those walls have been destroyed, though are being rebuilt, and Aaron's seen far too much death and devastation to retain the idealistic optimism he once held. But still, I mean, he's had some of the craziest character development out of anyone in this series. He knows how this works, so if he says confronting a bunch of wary zealots holed up in a fortress of a building is a bad idea, maybe you should listen. And at the end of the day, no one listens because he's not high in command. He has no say. So, I mean, yeah. Of course, part of the wicked fun of Warlords is how it keeps doubling back on itself, retreating in time to reveal another layer to the situation. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of it. It's kind of fun. I like that the show's taking different directions, but I don't know. I feel like they could have done without a bunch of time lapses and instead maybe even went in a linear order. And not just time, but space. Starting with Hilltop, progressing over to the Commonwealth, eventually even zinging out to show Negan and his new associate on the road, ready to lend a hand. Everyone gets pulled into the same screwed up plan hatched by Lance Hornsby, because of course Hornsby is responsible for this fiasco. But it's not until the end that all the various groups catch up to one another and we find a protagonist trapped inside a building with an unstable killer hunting them. Yeah, Hornsby's pulling all these crazy ass stunts to try to get a better position, try to impress the rulers, and wow, a lot of his stuff is just going to shit right now. But yeah, that's a good time, and a throwback to when The Walking Dead would routinely end on cliffhangers implying everyone, or at least a lot of folks, might be dead by the end of the next episode. We know the plan is going to go south thanks to the first act with Maggie. Lydia is planning to leave to join the Commonwealth because she's sick of just barely scraping by, always on the edge of starvation and collapse. It hurts, she tells Maggie after the latter regales her with the story of how Maggie's family fended off a predatory company trying to buy out their family farm back in the day in hopes of inspiring the younger woman. But then an unknown guy shows up on Hilltop's doorstep with a note asking for help, and off goes Lydia, Maggie, and Elijah to help. This is a bit of a stretch. They have no idea what they're getting into, which is not Maggie's MO. But sure. Suddenly there's dead stormtroopers in the middle of a road, and a frantic Aaron racing towards them. Something bad has happened, and that's kind of what you open the episode with. And it's kind of crazy how they kind of get to that point. I don't really have a whole lot more to say about this episode. Crap. And that's what keeps it so enjoyable to see Gabriel's skepticism when we suddenly rewind the clock. After Aaron recruits the priest, who has rediscovered his faith off-camera again, this was a little too much telling instead of showing, for a supposed humanitarian mission to invite a group of 40-some religious folks to join the Commonwealth, Gabriel takes one look at the plan, wander blindly into a heavily fortified building manned by zealots, and tells Aaron's earnest supervisor Carlson to fuck off. Yeah, I'm not doing this, he says, and he doesn't really have a choice because Carlson has control over fucking everything, and you kind of realize how important this guy is in the community. And despite a cut implying Gabriel has laid out some clever plan, we quickly realize that's not the case. After being threatened by the group's leader, a delightful Michael Biehn, having a ball hamming it up, Carlson reveals his true colors, killing the leader, threatening our people, and beginning a plan to execute every single person in the building. This guy gives no fucks. I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff under the surface of the Commonwealth. A lot of the people there have kind of adopted this, like, cold-blooded stance, and it's crazy. It's all done with brisk, satisfying pacing and effective close-quarters tension from director Lauren Yaconelli, who mostly seems like they were marking time in the first half of the episode until they could get to the good stuff following the twist of Carlson's duplicity. But the structure of the script is smart too, allowing Carlson some unexpected depth. He really doesn't want to be doing this, but Hornsby appeals to the weird humanitarian nature of the ex-CIA assassin that makes him a more plausible killing machine. By the time he's kicking innocent people off the roof of the building, he's all the more unsettling for how deeply we know the guy is invested in this planned extermination in the name of revenge for supposedly murdered Commonwealth soldiers. And as we go back in time, they give us like the motive. Like, why is this guy randomly pushing motherfuckers off the buildings? And yeah. I mean, R.I.P. to the random young guy that went with him on the trip. They really fucked him over. It's all zipping along with such enjoyable elan, if admittedly gimcrack, but then this is The Walking Dead we're talking about. It's almost an afterthought when Negan suddenly pops up. Like, yeah, we like Negan. Negan's one of the better characters in this show, but man, we're so focused on everything else. Apparently it didn't take him long to find some new folks with which to join up, though the idea that he'd take orders from Bien's skull-collecting oddball. It's pretty unlikely. It's not until the episode is over that you realize how wobbly some of its narrative foundations are. But they kill the stormtroopers guarding Gabriel. The woman delivers a pep talk to the other residents inside, and suddenly we're doing an assault on Precinct 13 style. Maybe Home Alone is a better comparison. Invasion thriller, or rather, we will be next episode. Sure, the timetable falls apart if you think about it too hard. By the end, Maggie and the others are also inside the building, ready to help fight off Carlson. How the hell did that happen? But the thing is, that's often been the case with the more entertaining installments of The Walking Dead. You know, they've more focused on, like, fights and action and crazy, tense moments than, like, does this make sense or not? From the beginning, the show has sacrificed logic here and there when it benefits the overall entertainment value of an episode, and in that regard, this felt a bit like a throwback to the days when the show would rush headlong from one disaster to the next, our heroes in over their heads and staring down death on a weekly basis. It was quite a bit of fun, in other words, and if the next episode's continuation manages to stick the landing, this will be one of the more enjoyable two-parters the series has delivered in quite some time. I mean, bring on the chaos. We want more crazy shit to happen as we kind of move forward. Elijah has a crush on Lydia. That's an interesting thing. A couple things I want to bring up here. Maggie's story about her family holding out against predatory farm developers is actually a really accurate parable of how predatory capitalism works in all sorts of ways, from Starbucks putting local coffee shops out of business to, yes, family farms being plundered in the name of short-term profit. I guess it's nice Gabriel here's God again, but still, this felt like a classic too abrupt Walking Dead character shift. That being said, Gabriel being salty to Carlson was quite funny. And yeah, it didn't really make all that sense that Gabriel would all of a sudden just flip the switch and be religious again. But yeah, I don't really have much to say. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I think this is overall a really good episode, one of the more entertaining episodes of a pretty good season 11. Usually shows get worse and worse as they go on. But, you know, this show has gotten worse over the last couple seasons, and then we get season 11, which is actually a really good season in my opinion. I mean, the Commonwealth community, maybe meeting too many groups, but some of the people in the Commonwealth community we're learning about, just some fantastic characters with crazy intentions, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. We're closing out that series, so